Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. Today our group will be presenting a topic about relative clauses. So here are our group members. So first, let's look at what relative clauses actually are. A relative clause is basically a short group of words that give extra information about a noun or pronoun. It usually starts with relative pronouns like who, whom, whose, which or that, or relative adverb like where, when, and why. The structure is noun plus relative pronoun or adverb plus clause. For example, the scientists who discovered penicillin changed medicine forever. Here, the clause who discovered penicillin give more detail about the scientist. Next, why do we use relative clauses? They help make our writing clear and more precise. Instead of using two short sentences, we can combine them into one smooth sentence. For example, the robot that can detect motion improves security system. It sounds more natural and gives complete information in one go.
Let's jump into relative pronouns. What are relative pronouns? Relative pronouns are words that connect two clauses and add more details about a noun, whether it's a person, a thing, or a place. They help combine information into one smooth and complete sentence. Now, let's take a look at some common relative pronouns. The first one is who, which is used for people. Example, the engineer who builds bridges uses advanced software. Here, the word who connects the noun engineer to the phrase build bridges. It describes what the engineer does. So, who acts as the subject, the one doing the action. Next, we have whom, which is also used for people, but it's the object of the sentence. Example, the actuary whom the company hired analyzes financial data. In this sentence, whom refers to the actuary, who is receiving the action of being hired. That's why we use whom instead of who. Moving on to whose, which shows possession or ownership. Example, the chemist whose experiment failed repeated her test. The word whose shows that the experiment belongs to the chemist. It connects the person with something that is theirs. Next is which, used for things or animals. Example, the program which calculates probabilities helps researchers. Here, which adds more information about the program, what it does or what it's for. And lastly, we have that, which can refer to both people or things in informal sentence. Example, the machine that scans the body is used in hospitals. The word that connects the noun machine with its function, scans the body. So overall, all these pronouns, who, whom, whose, which, and that, make our sentences more connected and meaningful. Now, let's move on to the difference between who and whom. Who is used as the subject, the one doing the action. Example, the scientist who discovered the formula was awarded. In this sentence, the scientist is doing the action, so we use who. Meanwhile, whom is used as the object, the one receiving the action. Example, the professor whom the company invited gave a lecture. Here, the professor is receiving the action of being invited, so we use whom. A simple way to remember this is, if you can replace it with he, she, or they, use who. If you can replace it with him, her, or them, use whom. So to summarize, who does the action and whom receives the action.
Now I am going to talk about relative adverbs. What are relative adverbs? They are words that connect relative clauses that provide additional information about time, place, or reason to the main clauses, which means it will join two sentences together and give more details about the three: place, reason, and time. let's start with when we use for time. For example, 2020 was the year when scientists create advanced AI models. As we can see, they have two sentences. 2020 was the year, and the second is scientists create advanced AI models. And then we connect these two sentences with word when. And then for informal, it will be the year that scientists create advanced AI models. And then we move to where we use for place. For example, the laboratory where the research was conducted is well equipped. We also see this have two sentences. We use where to connect it. And then for informal, it will be the lab that the research was done in. Then for the last, we look for why. Why we use for reason. For example, that is the reason why the system failed during the test. If informal, it will be that is the reason the system failed. So we can see the use of when, where, and why. Then we move for preposition plus which. Relative adverbs are essentially a combination of a preposition and a relative pronoun simplifying formal structures. For preposition plus which is more formal sentence. For example, this graph shows the point at which the chemical reaction reach equilibrium. It describes when, but we use word at which. And then second, the system in which the data are stored is secure. We also describe where, but we use in which. And then for third, the project for which the funds were approved focus on renewable energy. This also refer to the why, but we use for which.
Let's proceed. I will explaining about the types of relative clauses. There's two types of relative clauses. First is defining clause. It gives essential information, tells which person or thing we mean. There's no commas used. Without the defining clauses, the sentence meaning is incomplete. For example, the scientist who invented the vaccine saved millions of lives. Explains which scientist. It is an important information. Then we have non-defining clause. Gives extra information and not needed to identify the person or thing. Non-defining clauses is separated by commas. Sentence still makes sense without it. For example, Dr. Lee, who invented the vaccine, received a Glover Award. Who invented the vaccine is an extra info only. So without the non-defining clause, is can make a complete sentence. Let's proceed with the comparison of the two types of clause. First, we have the function. For the defining clause, it identifies who or what, while for the non-defining clause, it just adds extra info. The importance, defining clause, is essential to meaning, while for non-defining clause, it is not essential. For the use of commas, defining clause has no commas, while for non-defining clause, use commas. Okay, lastly, we have sentence without clause. For defining clause, it is incomplete without it, and for non-defining clause, it's still complete. And now, let's recap about what we have learned. Firstly, we have relative clauses that describes nouns and make sentence in science and technology more detailed. Secondly, we have relative pronouns who, whom, whose, which, and that connects ideas about people or things. Thirdly, we have relative adverb where, when, and why that shows place, time, or reason. Then we have preposition which can come before or after the pronoun. Lastly, we have types of clauses. First, defining clause that is essential info and no commas. And then we have non-defining clauses that is not essential and use commas. In short, relative clauses help us explain ideas clearly in science and technology writing. Okay, now let's test your knowledge. You guys can scan this QR code to answer some questions.
That's all from our group. Thank you.